did it. We did it. There, Leo. Hope you're happy. Jesus Christ. You know? Said I was going on at 2:30. It's only 3:30.
Hey, it's my bad. It's like 75 degrees out here, and
Yeah,
it's too nice. I had to get out and do some yard work. So.
We got 49 and an unbelievable wind, but it's going to get nicer this week. But not going to go below freezing here for the next 10 days anyway. That's a good sign. So maybe it's over. So
well, it's back to 50 tomorrow, so I think it's all the warm breeze.
Yeah, it's really up and down.
I'll take it. Yeah, I got
very up and down. But
I got half the mess raked out, so about another half to go, and it'll be all raked up. So I got a lot done.
I just are you raking leaves?
No, but it looks like a construction zone where I put in the new fence in the fall.
Yeah,
and it was so late in the year we never really got a chance to clean it up or anything. So it's still all dirt and turned all over and a mess, and
Yep.
So yeah, raking it all out. You know what it's like when you do a project. There's piles of dirt everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So it needed to be all raked out, and some of the old fence was still stuck in the ground. I was pulling pieces out, and all that, cleaning it all up.
So I was just sitting in my chair, and I thought, when was the last time I bashed Jimbob? Jimbob bashing. We haven't done that for a couple of weeks, right?
Somebody mentioned him the other day, and that's about all I've really heard lately.
Yeah,
he was on a kick doing a whole bunch of debates there, and then I haven't seen him, so maybe he got burned out.
I had a little exchange with him on email or in his comments. Let's see.
Poking the bear.
See this. Yeah, poking the bear. I'm poking him. Okay. So I said, "Oh my God, Jimbob, you poor child. You even admit that it's a different category, and then you insist the physicalist must put everything in one category, and hence your straw man commits the category error. You don't get this, do you? You are educated enough in philosophy to sound smart, but you don't cross that line in your discourse. So, in other words, you're an idiot, Jimbob." And he said, "That's an incoherent comment. It's unclear what you're saying." Just what did I say? You're not going to get this, or you don't get this, do you? He doesn't get this. And so if you were willing to engage and learn about physicalism, I can explain this to you. Is that a hopeless cause? Are you invested in the straw man too far to engage? And he says, the philosophical doctrine that everything is physical, or that everything supervenes on the physical. And I said, yes, everything supervenes on the physical. That means that there's no change in what we humans do unless there's some change in the physical. It means if we were walking around, something physical is changing. If we're thinking, something physical is changing. If we're, talking, whatever. Pretty simple to understand, I think. But these Christians cannot get their mind around this. They just don't understand physicalism at all. So anyway, everything, let's see. There's no change in the thing you were talking about without a change in something physical. If A supervenes on B, there can be no change in A without a change in B. So let's take a random concept in our human culture, truth. That seems to be one of your favorites. For the physicalist, we have to deep dive into examples of where truth comes up and for some reason, where the hell is, what the fucking fuck? What is this ... shit? What the fuck? It just cut it off. There used to be a more, What the hell? I think it's because I have it. Oh, yeah, I clicked on it. I'm clicking on the dots, clicking on the more. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, let me try this. Make it smaller. No, what the fuck? What did they do? Now they have a ... It just don't make no fucking sense. Anyway, I'm not sure. I went on to talk about truth and talk about, you need a real example like, what do you think truth is, basically? And I forget what I came up with. Unfortunately, I can't fucking look at it now because YouTube, I think they made a change. Did they make a change? Yes, they did. Control minus.
To me, under physicalism, truth would have some sort of relationship to the whatever chemical, neurological phenomena tells us, answers the question, am I about to fall off that cliff? Am I on a collision course with that rhinoceros or what have you? So something is, I agree that change from unanswered to yes or no or true or false, that's true right there, or false.
Yeah.
Right there. And I do believe it's a physical change. I don't know enough neurology or chemistry or whatever to be able to explain that change at any given moment. But
if I keep,
it's intuitive.
If I keep making this smaller, I can see more of my comments. So let's see. We have to deep dive into examples where truth comes up in our lives, and then we can talk about how those process events can always be found to supervene on physical substrate. I, human, make a choice about whether or not it is true that there is a tornado outside right now, and it is headed my way. There is a tornado close to me right now equals true. It is headed my way equals false. And he doesn't get this shit because he wants to talk about how he wants to talk about truth like it's like it has some deeper ontological being aside from how humans use it, how humans use the word and the concept. And so that's his big gotcha for the atheist, right? And he does it here in a couple of different places, and I think this is one of them. Let's see if I can. I gotta share.
This is just another case of we can have all these explanations, and Jimbob can use all the same.
What's that?
Are you planning on making us listen to him talk?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he can make all his arguments and everything, and so can we make arguments and everything. And so in the end, once again, adding God to it doesn't really solve anything. It's just, okay, you want to add God to everything else. It's like, you want to put extra salt on your food. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
Truth is being, and concepts are all objects floating around in phantom realms somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, he's talking to a couple of different atheists, and I just got a few short clips here that I think are meaningful. So, you want to listen? Can you stand it? Oh, let's see if it works.
Force. How could you possibly take that view and then not apply it to the current state of affairs and say, well, that just happened? There's no actual, by the way, humans determining to do things has to also be in the category of them just happening, right? To totally determine, right? Okay. Yes. So you take a position that all of your evaluations, all of your opinions, all of your actions, and all of your everyone else's actions across time, individual and collectively, all of those things just happened. They were deterministically, that they completely unfolded mechanically from biology and physics and chemistry, that those things just happen. So anything that just happens right now, you can't really argue, well, why did they do that? That was wrong. Or, maybe we should think
That's
this through.
True, because you're talking about man-made events.
How could they not be just happen? No, wait, hold on.
They did just happen, because if you look at just the events of things that have happened on Earth, if there's wars, if there's genocides, they are things that happen.
They just happened.
And they happen. There's reasons behind it, but it's human reasons.
No, wait.
In the natural world.
Hold on. Stop right there. Human reasons under your naturalistic world just happen, right?
Oh, where the hell am I at here?
Is he just trying to inject purposefulness or teleology into this?
I don't know.
Is he basically implying that any viewpoint where God isn't involved in it, in doing an event or causing an action, is meaningless? Is he just trying to inject a lack of meaning into everything, and therefore it's false?
Yeah, he thinks to be a naturalist, to have a naturalist or physicalist worldview, the only thing you can do is talk about how atoms bump into each other. You can't talk about truth. We can't be having this conversation that we're having right now. We have no grounds for it. We're just making, we're just like vibrating airwaves and we're moving molecules. And you guys should just go hang up and go to sleep, because atheists can't live in the world because we don't believe in God. That's what he's saying, ultimately. That it all just, like, our worldview just boils down to atoms bumping into each other. And that's all we can say. But those atoms...
I was looking around for videos for Saturday earlier, and I found a guy that said he thinks the Big Bang was two rocks knocking into each other and exploding. Man, our education system is really...
he can't make this shit up. Oh, what the hell here? Let's see, I wonder if I should, do we want to listen to this fucker, or should we just look at what he says? Let's see, where the hell is it? Hold on. Where's the hold on part? Is that a
think of the audience? You got to think of the audience, Might get a little green listening to too much of it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, let me, how the fuck do I make that go away? Okay, I want to make that go away.
Big orange phallic symbol right in his face there is pretty funny, though.
What's that?
I said the big orange phallic symbol in his face is pretty funny, though.
Oh, let's see. Okay, what the fuck? Come on.
So, he had a meltdown when BS put a eggplant up there like a microphone. Like it was in his face. Because they're so homophobic over there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
This.
Oh, BS. Putting something in like it was a member by my mouth. Very funny, BS. It's like, oh Christ, you do it all the time, Jimbob. And once again, he can't take it back. It's so thin-skinned.
Yeah, whenever he is rattled by somebody's humor or wit, he does that thing of stating what they just did and going, "Oh, it doesn't bother me," and laughing it off. One day, it was probably on a Snetta. Robin Webster said something that was kind of a pithy, witty saying, and I went, nice one, Robin, and he comes back with this, like, "Oh, you took this one word and put it before the other word in the next sentence." I thought that got to him. That really rattled him, because he can't stand for a woman to be wittier than him.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's see. Hold on. Human reasons under your naturalistic world just happen, right? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, over and over, he's saying that we can't do anything but talk about atoms. That if you're a physicalist, everything goes down to atoms, right? Just because.
Well, actually, wouldn't they go down to the quantum level? Wouldn't they go down to fields and
but we don't
particles?
understand. We don't understand the quantum level, so we don't want to.
Yeah, and you don't have to reduce it down to that, because there are different systems and levels of activity going on that allow us to have a much richer, observation and intellectual life dealing with the world around us.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand what their lack of understanding is. They don't understand how atoms can add up to things that do more than what atoms do. Like, for instance, a tree can grow a bunch of leaves in the spring, but under their view of our worldview, that can't happen. Okay, trees can't grow leaves. They're just atoms bumping into each other, eating sunlight, whatever. They don't believe that humans can do anything that humans do, right? Like have language, have concepts, have this whole thing going on inside of our brain, where we're understanding the world. They don't believe that they think that to reduce that to physicalism, we have to just talk about atoms. And everybody knows that you can't even do it if you talk about neurons. You're not gonna explain what you're seeing right now by just talking about neurons and completely cover it. You see what I mean? So they have this like super naive straw man version of what naturalism is. And like, okay, what is true or truth, right? And philosophers do this all the time. Okay, they'll say, what is truth? Let's sit in our armchair and stick a pipe in our mouths and look smart and talk about, all this, this concept of truth. And they'll go on and on and on about it. And when I was like 4 years old and my mom said, Mikey, did you eat those cookies? Tell the truth now. I knew what the fuck she meant, right? I was an animal, an organism who fully understood what truth was when I was 4 years old. Jimbob is about 40, and he doesn't understand what truth is.
Well,
he doesn't get it.
It's anything that they can equate to atheism and then just say, see, this is atheism, so it's dumb. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, and everything you think is true or false is just happening. There's no actual evaluator there. There's no you. There's no person thinking. There's a brain firing chemical signals. That means there's no. So that does not entail that there is no person thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't entail there's not a brain thinking either.
Right.
It's weird. It's like he doesn't understand that that you may have all this memory and speed on your computer, but you also have a processor, and there's those logic circuits in the process. We have that capability in our neurological networks, and that's what's doing the thinking.
Yeah,
but it's all locked inside, weaved within, all the brain matter.
Yeah, and they account for this stuff that, okay, it's God's mind that's doing all this stuff. So it's just God's mind. Well, that's no different than saying it's a physical mind. They're making a noise, God's mind. Physical mind is another noise. Those two things are pretty much equivalent. They haven't in any way explained how God's mind comes up with truth. Because you can't, because God is in this other dimension, spaceless, timeless, and we can just pull him out. We can pull him out of our ass, and we can just say, "Oh, that accounts for it." Now I have a foundation for truth because God's mind has truth. It's like what and they can't get around it. I think they actually think they have a point. What the fuck? What do we got here from Shaken Fist? Okay, I gotta get. Okay, it seems like there's another. Oh, I'm missing shit here. Let's see. Seems like there's another assumption snuggled in that nature and the laws of physics are static and fixed, which is also a straw man. Well, of course, they don't understand it. They have to reduce it to such things because they think that man can achieve things on his own. So they're arguing with the atheist, trying to make the atheist look like he's a fool because, he believes in things. And they're supposed to be doing an internal critique of physicalism, right? But they're not. They're dragging in their idea, which is there can't be truth without God's mind. There can't be matter without God's mind. Everything's God, God, God. So they're not doing an internal critique, and they keep insisting they are. And that is the crux of the problem. So we understand a lot about the brain. You'd be surprised how much we understand about the brain. The problem with us is that we can't accept what we're finding because we want to stick to these folk psychological illusions that we human apes have about our mind. We actually know a fuck ton about the brain. I hate that public perception that we don't know anything about the brain yet. I think neuroscience is one of the most remarkably not complete, but close, getting closer to complete thing that we have. We really understand a lot.
I've heard that a lot, that we don't know anything about the brain. And it's like,
no.
And then you just start bringing up some things and scans. And, well, we know some things. Well, you just said we didn't know anything.
Yeah, what we don't know about is our weakness in having an intuitive idea about what the brain does, about what the mind is. We have this idea that because our mind is a thing that creates its own reality, sort of, our brain creates this reality for us, and it's more like a fairy tale than what's really going on in our brain. It's what's happening in our brain, and we think, like my son and I were having an argument about AI, and he kept saying AI doesn't really think, and I said we don't either, because he got into why he thinks AI doesn't think, and I could say the very same thing about our brain. Our brain is just going through this probabilistic wiring system and firing off and predicting what's going to happen next. And that's exactly what AI is doing with the large language models. And so, in a sense, we don't think either. We're trying to, another thing that came up in the discussion is this idea that the AI doesn't really know things, right? And we don't either. We are able to respond to questions and situations, but there's nothing deeper than that about knowing. And that's a difficult thing. And anyway, that's the whole consciousness thing. And you can get me going for an hour about that. So if I get on a stream by myself, I get all stage fright. But if I'm on with you guys, I can overtalk you guys for an hour.
We're here for support.
You ever notice? Huh?
We're here to support you, Mike.
Yeah, I need you guys in the back, otherwise I just can't get going. Anyway, let's see. Breeding ground for half understanding and doubt is the breeding ground for misinformation. Oh, did you just highlight something?
No, I unhighlighted something. I thought it had been up there a while.
Oh, half understanding and doubt is a breeding ground for misinformation. Yeah, and that's really the case. The last frontier in understanding the natural world is our minds, basically, and life itself, that sort of thing. And until we understand that, we're not going to progress as a species. Let's see. Oh, hi, Maya. Knowing aside, we do think. Process thought. I don't know. I'm not so sure. Well, we do something, but it's akin to moving. So thinking was exapted from moving, from animals moving, and then animals planning movement. And we basically hijacked that system and grew a bigger frontal cortex with a couple more feedback circuits. And we hijacked this ability to move. And we call it thinking. We go from one thing to another. That's why God can't think, because God has no movement. God has no place to move. There's no space-time. Everything's just all at once with God. So God
he's immutable.
Yeah, kind of. He's just like a solid thing. That's why God That's why you can look at the genome and you can look at how phylogenetics works, and you can tell that God couldn't have done it because God would have just, like, it all would have been spit out at once, and it wouldn't have had this look as if somebody designed it. Okay, like evolution kind of designed it, and it has something called teleonomy. It goes in a direction, right? And so things are reused, like different proteins are reused and modified in different organisms. Why would an omnipotent, all-powerful God need to reuse things? There's no reason for God to reuse anything. God could have created completely different proteins for every species, for every kind, completely different DNA, whole different system. He could have just spit it out or shat it out. Is that what he did? Anyway, you move with just your brain. Oh, can you move with just your brain stem? I don't think. Well, yeah, no, not in a coordinated way. You need your cerebellum and you need your motor cortex, and in order to plan a movement, you need your premotor cortex. So, just your brain stem would just get you kind of like twitching, right? I don't know how your brainstem could do a coordinated movement. And you need your basal ganglia too in order to go through this action selection mechanism. So, I mean, you need a lot more systems in order to move. I don't think your brainstem would do it. I think you just sit there twitching like a wounded animal. I don't know. We fight about that, Maya. Do all the basic functions with it. Like, yeah, you can like keep your blood alive and monitor your temperature and beat your heart. But I don't think you can do much else. You need those other little nuggets on top. So I disagree. But what do I know? Is Maya a neuroscientist? Or a cognitive neuroscientist? I can't remember. Are you not? Are you Maya? Yeah, you could eat, drink, sleep. Well, I don't know if you could eat even. I'm not sure. Brainstem eat? Maybe. Yeah. Like a brainstem is probably all you need to suck on a booby, to nourish yourself that way. But I don't know. Okay, so we got some other shit here. Oh, where are we? What else does he say? Let me try and put it really cleanly. Premise one. Okay, here we go. So where the fuck are his premises? What did I do with his premises? Oh, I turned his argument into. How did I do it? I think I missed it. You guys got any input on that brain thing?
Well, I do know when people have suffered massive brain death or whatever, they can be kept alive. Just on the minimal level of activity. But
yeah,
no. And even though she may not be a neuroscientist, I'm sure she has studied such topics before. So she's recalling things differently than you, and somebody would just need to look it up and confirm.
Well, we could ask ChatGPT. We could do that right now because I'm probably wrong. Oh, let's see. Where the hell did I find that? Oh, Jesus. Oh. Dude, Hank. Don't know. I shall go down to 408. Okay. Elevator. Okay, that's 408. Okay, and it was 6. 6. He had some premises somewhere. Premise 1. Events in the world themselves, like a waterfall, Okay, so here's his argument. All phenomena, including human thoughts and utterances, are just physical events determined by the laws of physics. Premise 2. Physical events, tornadoes, chemical reactions, are not true or false. They simply happen. Conclusion. Therefore, any proposition which is allegedly just another physical event cannot be true or false, meaning one cannot meaningfully hold or assert a proposition as true. Self-refutation claim. If I run his argument through ChatGPT and had to put it in a better form, I think. If a determinist tries to claim that determinism itself is true, they contradict themselves, since on their own view, that claim is just another event, hence not truth apt. And you see the category error there? You're taking, basically you're looking at it as they're just, events, atoms smashing into each other. Therefore, they can't be true. So therefore, we can't do truth. And it's the same thing as saying that me scratching my head is just atoms smashing into each other. Therefore, I can't scratch my head. Because on a physicalist view, when an event happens, or like when a human does something, like looks at something and says, oh, is that tornado coming my way? True or false, right? He says we can't do that because it's just atoms. Why can't we? Because our minds are all physical and we're responding to the physical world. So there you go. Oh, let's see. Okay. Where are we at? You guys are quiet.
We're waiting for you to resolve it.
Oh, let me just resolve this.
We spoke before that even if you have the brain stem in the brain, if there's damage where that little connection area is there, that seems to be the big problem.
Yeah. Let's see. Why in the hell? Why is this thing doing? Why is StreamYard doing this to me? Okay, there we go. Here we go. Yeah, let's see. Don't want all my chats on the screen.
There's a new thing over on the left side of your screen, Mike. There's a little arrow that changes the size, so you can do your tools over there.
Really?
You might need to click that if your screen's messing up on you.
On the left side of my screen, demo screen, I see new scene.
That's a new thing over on the side. If you click on that, it changes the size of your screen.
Like demo scene? Show on
stage. I forget what it says there, but it's like it opens up that tool, the tools on the left side over there, so that you can customize your window.
Okay. Yes, you can perform basic movements using just your brainstem. Basic motor reflexes, and you can do posture, writing reflexes, walking-like movements, in animals and infants, and muscle tone and balance, breathing and heart rate. Let's see what the brainstem cannot do alone. Skilled voluntary movements. That's what I was talking about, Maya. So I guess I meant. But that walking motion, apparently that's like built into our structure. I always wondered how a deer can pop out of the mama and be walking within an hour. Humans can't do that, but deer can. Complex motor planning, which involves motor cortex, basal ganglia, and cerebellum. So anyway, yeah. And I was talking about skilled, Maya. So we were talking. What is that called? Over each other or talking? Yeah. Anyway.
Talking past each other.
Yeah, there you go. I should have asked ChatGPT what that is. ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like my dementia assistant. Every time I can't do something, I just ask ChatGPT. Anyway, hey, guess what? You're not guessing.
What?
No. Black Mirror has a new season. And they got Paul, what is it? Giamatti is in one of them. I watched that. Giamatti, okay. He was in one, and Jesse Plemons was in one. So they're getting some big names involved now instead of season 7. But Black Mirror has like season or episode. The last episode is a sci-fi kind of thing about like a spaceship game sort of thing, or being stuck in a game. That one's really good for sci-fi people. And Eulogy is a piece that will, if you're doing mushrooms, it'll make you cry a lot. Maybe not. Anyway. Yes, Maya, you were right. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're always right. I'm always wrong. Oh, no.
Get it together. Get it
No,
together.
Okay, there's a whole theory about thinking, Maya, and I forget what it's called, but it has to do with, basically it's the same thing. It's an exaptation of your premotor cortex, where you plan movements, and it's the same thing. And that is a theory that I subscribe to. It's like a stepping function, and it works with the same parts, the basal ganglia and the cerebellum, and it's all involved. And I could look it up. Let me see if I can find it on ChatGPT. Okay. Motor theory of thought. Embodied cognition with motor origins, whatever. What do we got here? Oh, Scott. We have Scott. Okay. Abstract thinking and internal simulation emerge from the brain's ability to plan and control movement. Embodied cognition, that's another one I subscribe to. Mirror neuron hypothesis. I don't care for talking about mirror neurons. Action, perception, and thought. Okay, evolutionary framing. Motor control, mental stimulation. Examples support this theory. Tool use and planning, mental rotation, premotor cortex, cerebellum, and the basal ganglia is involved in this whole thing. Anyway, that isn't quite it. That's not the name of it. There was something on Wikipedia or Scholarpedia. I don't know if you guys know if you've ever looked at that, but it's got all kinds of theories of the brain. And I can never find Scholarpedia. I don't know why. But anyway, I got nothing. You guys got anything? Okay, Trump's terror plans.
You were also poking Sabur too, weren't you?
Oh yeah, well, that was earlier. Yeah, that was a guy that this guy, he said, I bet I can come up with 10 things where you'll say I don't know. And I responded to him by saying, one of the things I don't know is what those 10 things are. So now you got to come up with 9. And another thing I don't know is what those 9 things are going to be. So now you got to come up with 8. But I mean, he's basically saying, I'm going to ask you about the beginning of the universe, or I'm going to ask you how life came from rocks and all this bullshit. But he hasn't responded to me yet because I think Sabor blocked me. Anyway.
Well, once again, that's the the shtick they pull. It's, oh, you're an atheist. Where'd the universe come from? It's like an atheist doesn't believe in God. That's it. Don't have to know shit.
So, how did I get this on the screen again and make it big? I forget. How did I do it?
You hit the square.
It's gone again.
Hit the square and in the picture or in the thumb down there. And
which one?
Square makes it the little square on your thumb there makes it full size.
Yeah, I'm trying the squares and nothing's happening. There we go. That's the best I can do. Oh, there we go. Okay. Anyway, so Maya, it's not the best teacher. I beg to differ. So this is basically thrombospondin, which is a protein that works in blood clotting and a bunch of other things to stick your cells together. And basically, I go through this stuff and get all these tables, and there's a ton of stuff, and every now and then it will get something wrong. And if you know enough about the subject that you're studying, you can work with it, and you can get through that, basically, right? So ECM, extracellular matrix organization, cell adhesion, angiogenesis, which is how your blood vessels form, and signaling. So that's all the stuff that thrombospondin does. And then I can go back, see all. And I mean, I can just keep going, and it is the best teacher I have ever found. This is the most incredible thing that's ever happened to mankind. Anyway, this is
other than Bigfoot.
Other than Bigfoot, yeah. Okay. I mean, this is a project that I started called Cell Membranes, and there is just like, okay, cat heron homologs and no direct homologs of cat herons and prokaryotes. Calcium dependent, okay. However, some prokaryotic proteins share functional similarities with cat heron. And then it goes ahead and tells you. And no one that I've ever talked to would know how to answer that question. No research person, no PhD biologist that I've had in the program would know how to answer that question. But ChatGPT answered that question. So yeah, this creating videos with ChatGPT, I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of clicking on a clickbaity link and getting this bullshit. Nothing where they repeat the same thing over and over again. Like, he went to school, and he was bullied, and then 5 minutes later he went to school and he was bullied. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, AI can change education. Like, God, if I'd had this when I was in school, I could have achieved my dream back then, which was to create my checkerboard report card, where I get all A's, an A and F, an A and F, an A and F, and then the next 6-week period I reverse it. So I have an F and A and F and A, and then I could have done a report card that looked like a checkerboard. That would have been cool. That was my dream in high school.
Just the internet brought us a long way, saving you.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
To go to the library to look this stuff up and get a book or whatever.
Yep. Wikipedia.
That much more on top. Yeah.
The thing is, though, you can't use it unless you're engaged in the subject in an intelligent way, because like the Wikipedia will fuck some things up or leave some things out. And you can't just rely on it and nothing else. I mean, it's not going to make you smart. You have to do a little work to do that by yourself.
Yeah, plug everything back into a search and see if it comes up under reputable sources.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I have found it to be kind of an asshole when it comes to me trying to influence it. Like, I'm trying to get it to think along a certain lines of naturalism, and it keeps coming up back with the status quo, with which is kind of the consensus of what philosophy is thinking right now. And I'm trying to get it to move off that mark. And every time I engage with it, I have to say, no, I'm not, I'm a pure physicalist. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. I don't believe in abstracts. I don't believe in abstract universals. I believe in physicality of math, and I fight with it. And then after I fight with it enough, it'll finally settle down and start, working with me and coming up with decent arguments. But I have not had a bad experience with ChatGPT at all. I'd like to. I want to. Can we get it to do Christian shit? Like,
it does cryptids really well. I fact check stuff that I look up, and it does pretty good on getting the facts, so to speak, right. I mean, it gets names and dates and locations, and I mean, they're technically supernatural cryptid things.
Yeah, with
it does pretty good. It does pretty good. Yeah.
With ChatGPT, I just always have a nagging feeling that maybe it's just kissing my ass and making my responses like it thinks I want them, or
yeah,
and then just not trusting it that way.
Yeah. Okay. I believe God created truth. That's a strong and intriguing claim, Mike. Oh, you're so smart. When you say God created truth, do you mean truth is correspondence, truth as a metaphysical structure, or truth as a divine property? So how would Jimbob answer that? Let's see. If God created it, was there a before truth? I'd love to. Okay. Do you see truth as eternal or contingent in this view? If God created it, was there a before truth? That's a good question. It's an intriguing question. Okay.
Yeah. If he created it, then there wasn't before, and that means that God didn't know what truth was until he created it. But then how could he create it if he didn't know what it was?
Okay, I believe it's a metaphysical structure that had being. Okay, nice. That's a very rich view. So you're saying truth is not just a label we slap on sentences. It's a real metaphysical structure, a kind of ontological framework that exists. And this structure has being, meaning. It is not just conceptual or linguistic. It exists in some way and was created by God. Truth as a created structure.
Do you think that means it exists in the sense that numbers exist?
Yeah, the Platonic form. We're talking about Platonic forms. So the next line, it tells you you're treating truth almost like a Platonic form. That's something that exists independently and grounds the possibility of propositions. I think that is what Christians believe, except that they don't believe, they're not with Plato that those forms just are. They think God created those forms. So that's where the Orthodox view differs. You know about that, right? That's the if you look at that little diagram, they're right there, right alongside Platonists, that they believe that these things actually have some substance. Okay, so what do we got here? You're treating something that exists independently, Plato. Okay, but unlike Plato, you say it was created, not eternal. So in this view, God didn't just know all the truths. He made the very structures that allow for truth and falsity. Before this act of creation, truth did not exist. This makes truth contingent in a sense. So ChatGPT is pushing back on this, even though I'm posing as a Christian. This pushes against classical theism a bit, which tends to say truth is co-eternal with God, or is even identical with God's intellect. Okay, yeah, that's true. Is that true, Scott? So did I screw up here?
You're not fooling ChatGPT. It already knows you, Mike. So.
I don't. Yeah, but it doesn't keep things from one.
It says that dirty rotten atheist is trying to pretend he's a Christian. Watch me.
It asked me the other day if I wanted a bio of everything I've ever talked to it about, and it went and looked at everything I've ever done. But I think it has to ask you for that. It's got a foundational creative role.
Like I say, I tried it, but it must be because I don't sign in on like as me or anything. I just use my Google account, so it sees me as captive desk.
Okay, let's see. So let's go back to that classical theism, which, okay, truth is co-eternal with God. Okay, yeah, that's what the Christians would say. No, I think now that truth is
I just don't get what that means. Truth is co-eternal with God. How can that apply to every possible truth statement? Or just the ability of this to be equal to this requires God and eternity? That just makes no sense. Why does truth even need to be associated with God?
I know.
Because certainly so many times in books of the Bible, like John, it's like reading the lobster. This is true because it's the truest true because it says it's true. Sorry, Mike.
Yes, Maya, I think it's the very best teacher I've ever had in my life. I've had some teachers that really suck. They didn't know the answers to my question. Do that from different AIs. I've seen videos of ChatGPT's answers versus others. See who gives the best answer. Let's see. World's greatest plagiarism machine. Yeah, it just goes ahead and gets everybody's shit and puts it together. Yeah, you got to be aware of the subject. Otherwise, you're going to find things that aren't true. You got to have a book open on the right with ChatGPT on the left, and that's how I work with it. So
I also guess it depends on what you're trying to get from ChatGPT. Like usually in the areas of philosophy, I'm saying, well, what scholars think this and what scholars think that, and what do scholars say about this position? And
right. And the other thing I want to get from philosophy is it will, when you're talking to it about philosophy, it will always give you a counter to what you're saying. So if I say it's this way, it will say, well, here's a critique of that. And it does a critique. And it gives me an idea of what I missed. So that's why I like working with it. And you can also train it a little bit. I trained it on cell membranes so that it would give me what I wanted instead of the bullshit it was giving me. Okay, truth is co-eternal with God. Truth. Okay, now this is Augustine apparently, and I know the Eastern Orthodox people don't like Augustine, or is it Aquinas that they don't like? Here's what I'm hearing in a revised view. Truth is co-eternal with God. Truth was not created because it's not contingent. Truth is identical with God's mind. It's not something God has, but something God is. Eternal, no beginning, end, mutable. So I don't know which one Jimbob would be closer to. It'd be interesting to ask him.
It all sounds pretty word salady to me. I mean, nothing there really means anything.
No, it just asserts that, oh, God is co-eternal with truth. It's an assertion. Has no basis in, there's no reason to believe that. That's why we're atheists. Okay.
What those are just things believers made up and applied to it. It's like, again, you can do that to anything. You know, the magic teapot did it because it had to have done it.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to make sure here. Yeah, so no, I am just fucking with you. I am. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I spelled fucking wrong. Fucking with you. I am an atheist. Organisms. See what it says. They get mad at me because I'm fucking with it. Oh, let's see. So let's see. Where are we here? Ha ha. It says ha ha.
See, it knows what you're up to. It knows what you're up to.
That pivot was slick. So now we're in naturalist territory. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's a bold pragmatist or an activist move. So now if I wanted to, I've got huge chats about naturalism where I've had to basically, I got to put it in the form of a project and add some papers and stuff. So, okay, God is, let's see, what is, okay, Jimbob's classic precept, God is an induction because of the laws of logic, uniformity of nature. He then uses that to be the default position. He then takes that position and reduces it to an absurd point and then claims victory because he thinks he's the default. So he doesn't have to prove God. Yeah, that's a precept. That's a circular reasoning, basically.
Same thing like the creationists do. They take all the discoveries of science, like, oh, look, the Big Bang is now a thing. So, well, see, that's in the Bible. And they just, whatever it is, they just say, oh, yeah, that's in the Bible. We knew it all along. You didn't tell anybody, but you knew it all along.
Yeah.
What's it, post hoc? That's all it is. And Jimbob's is the same thing. It's like, oh, we've learned laws of logic and we've learned laws of physics. And, well, God did it. Well,
yeah.
But how come God didn't tell you about it, right? Why didn't religions know about these things thousands of years ago? They had to wait for science to figure it out thousands of years later.
Good question, Maya. I put the link out in case you want to fight. If you have to know the subject to get an answer, how is it a good teacher? No, you know the subject overall. So when you learn something, what you're doing is you're curating a body of knowledge, right? And when you're curating a body of knowledge, you have to be a good curator. So everything that you bring in to that body of knowledge has to go through the filter of what you've already constructed. And if you're doing it right, you'll have 5 books open and you'll have 6 papers open. You'll be looking at it from the broadest possible way. And then you become the curator of what you learn. And you learn best if you have a framework on which to hang everything. So you don't ever want to rely on one teacher or one method of teaching you, like the wiki or whatever. You have to be careful. You have to be a good curator. Does that make sense? Jimbob? Yeah, I think AI is real intelligence. I think it's smarter than we are because it doesn't have a body. I don't know. Our body gets in the way. Well, males, for instance, our dicks make us really stupid. If we didn't have those, we'd be really smart. You think so? You agree?
I think it might have been Bill Burr or one of the big comedians said, or no, it was the one that passed away. Geraldo. He said,
Who was that?
Geraldo, the one that used to do all the roasts, and then he passed away. But anyway, he had a bit about, I can't wait to reach the age where this thing quits working and I can think clearly and stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's the age I'm at.
Do something. This thing's getting in the way. It's interfering.
Right, that's the age that I'm at. I just don't, care about mating anymore at all. I just don't. It doesn't impress me. And looking back over my life,
Greg Giraldo, thank you.
Giraldo, really? I've never heard.
Yeah, I remember him, but his name did not come to mind immediately.
I think he had a tragic end.
Oh,
13 years ago.
What happened to him?
Actually, it's more closer to 15 years ago. I was actually looking at it dated.
He OD'd on prescription meds.
No one does that with chat. Yeah, if people are using ChatGPT and they're not they're not curating. It's a problem. So
we lost Geraldo, and we lost Mitch Hedberg. Just doing too many damn drugs. Hard drugs.
So it was Greg Giraldo?
Greg Giraldo. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you can give it instructions for your project. So use tables, and I got more tables. Deep dive into various proteins with an eye toward complete lists. When I ask about proteins, I want, in addition to the usual stuff, a more complete list, starting with number of proteins in a family. I need a top-down overview first. I am very interested in chromosome locations. So ever since I've done that, it's been giving me all the chromosome locations, and I'm really happy about that. Oh, tenacins. Except they didn't do it here, did it? No, did it? Okay, where's the chromosome? I don't know where it is. You fucker, you didn't listen to me. Anyway, I've been pretty busy trying to figure out how humans stick together. Like when you go for a walk, why don't you just like turn into a puddle of goo and, you know, just roll down the street and into the drains and the sewer drains. So I've been figuring out why we don't do that.
I don't know if this is actually the bit or not, but when I typed it in about Geraldo can't wait till his junk stops working, it came up with midlife vices.
Oh, midlife vices?
Yeah.
Is that one of his stand-up things?
It's a comedy special, yeah. So I'm not sure if it's in that one, but that's what the AI lords say.
So if somebody who likes Bill Burr would like him?
Oh yeah, you'll love him.
Okay.
You'll love him. Yeah.
Why don't I know about him? God.
Did you watch the Comedy Central roasts?
No.
I don't think so. He was on there. He was a regular until we lost him. He's kind of scruffy, wears like a leather jacket, kind of unshaven, brown hair, like your average looking guy.
Oh, Math Pig is here. I missed them. Veritasium. Okay. So the link is Veritasium, what everybody gets wrong about AI and learning. So we should look at that. Anyway, I'm done. Oh, let's see here. I wonder what the reference. Okay, kind of feel like the best teacher would teach you how to study. You think for yourself. Yeah, fuck that. I was sort of a rebel, Maya. I never listened to my teachers. I didn't think they knew what they were doing.
And Robbie, just so you know, yeah, I'm official. I got my thing from YouTube, so yeah, I can have memberships and all that stuff now. So I'm a real YouTuber now. Woo-hoo. Thanks for all your help. Appreciate it.
You can do like comments and stuff, but you have to sign up for it, right? Super chats. If you have more than 500.
If you have more than 500 and at least one of the two things, one of them is watch hours, and the other thing is how many videos you have or something like that.
Okay.
If you have at least one of those and 500, you know, it's got a little bar graph that shows you where you're at. And
I haven't used DeepSeek.
As long as you got the minimals for the 500, then you get memberships, super chats, and that kind of stuff. And then the full thing kicks in when you hit 1,000.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get an animation. I'm trying to get somebody to draw animated pictures of me with 5 or 6 syllables. And I'm trying to train my voice on this AI. There's about 15 websites that do it, and I have one, I forget what it's called, that I'm trying to
train my voice, and I have to sign up for it and pay for it. Apparently, it's where the hell is it here? It is Reddit. Where are we? Semantic Scholar. Shit, fuck, I can't find it.
You gotta ask Robbie Mathpig there, Mike. He's real
What's
good
that?
at finding. I said you might
Oh
want to
yeah,
ask Robbie. He's really good at finding stuff on the cheap.
yeah. That's why I would like. I think a few of us creators should, and Mathpig would be our leader, should have private YouTube conversations every couple of weeks to talk about, content creation. Would you be up for that, Robbie? I don't know. Anyway, you guys got anything you want to grump about?
Jason Lyle irritated me last night, so I recorded a script and I've got a video almost ready to put together. I just got to edit out my thingies there, but he brought up the Ernst Haeckel was put on trial for his drawings, and I was like, oh heck no, he didn't say that. So he's getting a scathing response calling him a liar.
Yeah. He was not put on trial. He was not. He was he stayed at the university. He corrected his own errors. He was fully aware of the controversy over his drawings. They explained that they did the drawings because at that time they had to carve wood in order to make those drawings. Mm-hmm. You had to like sit and carve it into wood and print them. Basically, is what they were doing.
Well, and ultimately he claimed artistic licensing too. I mean, when you hire an artist, things are gonna be, different. You know what I mean? Just a little bit, but in the end, though, it doesn't matter because it was a long time ago, and now we've got micro photographs where they go right in there and they take pictures and everything. So
yeah, we still find a stage where all vertebrates basically go through the same stage.
Yeah, even if you line up the Haeckels with the modern pictures, they're close enough for him doing it, freehand and again, he didn't have, the best equipment and everything. I mean, they're cracking eggs open and there's this glob and he's trying to draw it. You know what I mean? To his credit, they weren't that far off. And when you look at them, and there's somebody pulled that famously on somebody when the women's health issue came up, that they showed the embryo and they said something, oh yeah, a human embryo, and he's like, no, that's a dolphin, right? You cannot tell the difference at a certain point, right? So all that similarity and how the things then start to, by the genes grow this or don't grow that, retract this or that. It's pretty clear there. And just to pick on that little thing about, Haeckel's drawings is really, really weak to begin with.
But, they made up all this shit about a trial and how he got fired from the university, and none of that shit happened.
Is just a lie. Like you said, he wasn't even reprimanded or anything. It was just basically he explained it and everybody was like, yeah, okay, good enough, and they moved on. And then the creationists dug it up 200 years later or whatever it's been. But he just said this. He just said that. This isn't old. He just said this. And I'm like, oh heck no, he didn't just say that. And here's
they keep repeating the same lies, basically.
So I'm gonna end it with my last line, and is something similar to, your PhD is only as good as your integrity or whatever. You know what I mean? However I worded it. So he's touting, oh, I'm a PhD in physics and everything. It's like, yeah, but you're sitting in that chair with your smug little face and you're lying to an audience. So once again, I don't care about anything else you say, because all I can hear is you're probably lying to me like you just did about Ernst Haeckel, right? So yeah, dirty rotten. So I'm calling him out. It's just going to be a short little blast, but yeah, I just was literally, I said out loud, "Oh heck no, he didn't just say that." He was at some small church giving a talk, and that's how I came across it. It's only got like 80 subscribers or something at this church. But he's sitting in front, first of all, he's sitting in God's house. Okay. I'm going to call you out, believer, right? You're sitting in God's house talking to an audience of God's people that are thinking you're not only godly, but you're a PhD. You got the degree and everything. And you're sitting there with his goofy little smug smile, lying. And apparently he doesn't, obviously he's lying. He knows better. He's lying. And where is the fear of the wrath or anything else sitting in God's house, being, so to speak, the false prophet, right? There's no fear of God's wrath or anything. He sits there with his smug little thing and lies in God's house and all that. And it's like, give me a break, That's just on top of everything else, that once again, you would expect supposedly not only a scientist, but this religious person to at least give the effort of asking Google. And as soon as you ask it, it comes right up all over the place. Never happened. It's it's a hit piece by these creationists. That's all that comes up. Nothing else. So it's like it just shameful. It's just shameful by both standards. The science
and here's a
standard
real story.
and God's house standard. Yeah.
So these are Haeckel's drawings on the left, basically where he sort of, kind of sketched them in. And here's the real story on the right. So these are, and this phase right here is where the human, the mouse, the chick, the zebrafish, and the frog look the same at this stage. It's called the phylotypic stage, and all vertebrates go through this stage where they have this curvature and these gills, and they have the backbone wrapping around. It's the same thing, right? So he was not wrong about this. There was a whole movement against him at one point until you start to understand what's really going on. Now, up at these stages, like these are very different developments, but then they settle into this phylotypic stage right here that basically starts to create the organism. And here's
there
the
was
little
something
guy.
about something about because he didn't draw the yolk sac or there's
I don't
something
know
to do
what
with
it is.
that too, that they were nitpicking or something. And it's like,
Yeah, these are kind of I don't know. It looks like between these right here, he took some artistic liberties, right? Because that's not quite right. So
yeah, he basically stamped the same one because it was so similar.
Yeah.
Then he just took a pencil to it.
Yeah.
But it's still though, yeah, when you pull them up though to the micro photos they have now, they're pretty darn close. And I would say again, under which so-called primitive conditions, that he was doing things under, and then freehand drawing it and everything. It's like, I think it did a pretty good job.
I got a PhD. Nobody know that.
We might as well set up Bigfoot University and start selling them to the Hovenites out there and stuff. It seems like a profitable thing to just sell these diplomas written in crayon. So
Yep. So I used to love when I get hired as a contractor for some corporation, and I'd be working for them for like 6 months, and they'd be happy. Only if they were really happy with me. I would sit them down at lunch and tell them I'm a high school dropout. I love that. I love that part. When I got to the point where I felt like I either wanted to get out of the contract or I figured I was indispensable and they couldn't fire me no matter what, I'd tell them I was a high school dropout.
Well, you know, it's nice here. I got the window open and I hear children squeaking and running around.
Oh, wow.
So
If there were
that's how
children,
nice it is here today.
if there were children playing outside, they'd be blown away like Dorothy right now today. The amount of wind we got.
It was breezy here, but again, though, it seems to be that's what's blowing in.
Oh, the trees have a greenish cast. I can see the green. That just started today and yesterday. So grass is popping up and those little weeds out in the forest are starting to pop up. Some are coming.
That's why I say that's why I was hitting the rake job today and everything, because yeah, stuff's starting to grow in and I want to get it all fixed up as the stuff starts to grow in. I got, my rose bushes, they're all kind of tied up in the back corner, so they were out of the way. So I got to untie them and let it all loose again and get everything growing again after the project.
Oh, Deconverted Man has a suggestion. All voice things. Oh, let me see here. Where's Deconverted Man? What's happening? I don't know what's happening. Okay, guys. I'm going to get the hell out of here. First of all, I want to find this. Oh, yeah. 11 Labs, Deconverted Man. That's the one I'm signing up for. That's a good one. That's the one I was looking for. So all voice things. Okay, I'll try that out. Anyway, you ready to get out? Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Ready to go, Scott?
Ready to go. Yeah,
Ready
to
go.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're done here.
Bye, y'all.
And Maya, if you're still around, I want to have a conversation with you someday. Just you and I. For fun.
I think she's over on
Ember's yell at me
now.
What's that?
I think she's over on Ember's channel right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In the chat.
Maybe she'll do that. Okay. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you, Dave.
Bye, cruel world.